So you put that down, then you put your vegetables down. I'm going to put some cucumber down. I never really tasted cucumber, it just kind of has a nice crunch to the sushi. And then some avocado. And the avocado is turning a little bit brown. It happens when it's kind of exposed to the air, and if you want it to stay nice and green, you can rub it in lemon juice. And then when you roll the sushi, you roll it like this, and then you want to pinch it down so the ingredients get nice and tight. And then you just go roll it. And then you want to squeeze it pretty tight together. You don't want to squeeze it too tight, or the ingredients will squirt out the sides, and I've had that happen before. And then you can roll it into a square if you kind of make a square form in your hands. And I've heard of some people making a triangle, but I don't know how that'd be pretty hard for me. But see, then I have this nice roll. There's kind of a bump in it because of the mat, but it should be fine. So a nice inside out roll there. The ice is good today. And then this is one thing I learned. The first time I made sushi, I actually learned how to make it from watching a video on YouTube. So it was actually very helpful. It was really nice. And one of the things that they always stress about it is they want you to cut it properly. And of course, at first I thought you just slice it, but you actually have to wet the knife before every stroke. So you get the knife nice and wet, you get a wet washcloth, and you want to just wet the knife, and then you make a half cut, kind of going back and forth, and you can make another cut, but once you feel the knife kind of sticking inside, then you want to wet it again. So make the nice cuts, and you wipe it, and wet it. You want it to be as wet as possible because it just kind of slides through it like butter, and that way your ingredients don't always fall out. The main problem that I always have is they always squirt out the ends, and my ends, to be a good sushi chef, you always see their ends are always nice and fancy, but lately mine have been kind of a little bad. These ones are pretty nice, but every once in a while one of my rolls will just squirt out the end and it'll just look kind of flimsy. But this one actually turned out quite nicely. But then another thing, you want to make sure that you kind of pull the knife back quick like that, because a lot of times you'll have a little bit of the nori will stick to each other and you'll pull it apart, and then sometimes it'll unroll. But these are actually pretty nice, you can see there. So that's the Stuart crab roll, and it's pretty much my signature roll. And yeah, I've always been a fan of the tempura crab, and I didn't think I would ever be able to make it, but I learned online and then through that book. And then my new learning, well, pretty much everything is new learning. The history of sushi, I just knew nothing about sushi. I just knew it was raw fish and rice. And the types and styles, like I mentioned before. The etiquette of eating it, I have a slide on that, which I'll explain later. And the cooking and patience, pretty much every time I make sushi, even this morning, it was about 4 hours this morning of making it, which is pretty long and stressful, but now I've been going on some tough cooking experiences now, and I'm really patient in the kitchen, and the first time I was making sushi, I was just, oh my god. But I can make it down. I'm going really quickly, and the first time I made it was probably maybe 6 or 7 hours because things were just falling apart, and even still today, I still messed up. This morning, one of my rolls I thought it was nice, and I lifted it up and it fell to pieces because I stuffed it too hard. And then my special techniques, tempura, which I already explained. Washing the rice, I explained that. Cutting the sushi. And then even some special ways, I didn't make any shrimp today, but in order to keep the shrimp straight instead of curling like it normally does, you have to do what's called butterflying. And you make diagonal cuts across it, and then you bend it, and it will stay straight even when you deep fry it in the tempura. And of course, rolling the rolls, you can do square rolls, normal rolls, which just have the seaweed on the outside and the rice is inside. But another advantage of the inside out roll is that you can stuff more ingredients because the rice is on the outside. And here's a picture of my first attempt. As you can see here, there's tons and tons of rice, and these are pretty much fat. Now, you can kind of see the nori wrap around inside, which is another sign of a beginner, but normally when you go to a sushi restaurant, they'll do half sheets, where you just cut the sheet of nori in half. But lately, those have been pretty tough for me. But I've been doing full sheets recently. And here's some pictures of me recently. This is called sushimi, or sushimi is the fish on top of the rice, which I talked about. And as you can see here, you can see that a lot less rice, and the ingredients are in the center, and I think it looks delicious. And then, how to enjoy sushi. You don't want to use too much wasabi or soy sauce, because in Japan they think of it as an insult if you just get this nice thing of sushi and you just totally dip it in the soy sauce. They kind of find that offensive, so if you ever go to Japan or a nice sushi restaurant, don't do that. And some people are afraid to use their fingers, but sushi is actually a finger food. Some people only think you can use chopsticks, but if you want to grab sushi by hand, just grab it like this and then dip it in your sauce, but don't like lather it up. And then, yeah, you can turn, a lot of times like this, you can see the fish sticking out a little bit, so you may want to dip that in the soy sauce. And then, yes, and oshi, I guess that's how you say it, is delicious. And thank you to my mentor, Naomi. She's always been a great help to me. My parents for funding this operation. I know it's been very expensive, but hopefully it's been worth it for you. My advisor, Ms. Henselman, for being really supportive. My panel, Mr. Ham, Mrs. Sherritz. They've also been very supportive. And my friends for being my sushi guinea pigs. Hopefully it wasn't that bad. They got free food out of it. So. And then you, the audience, for listening to me. I've made a bunch of samples. I have spicy tuna rolls in here, some smoked salmon rolls, California rolls are all in here. Then I have my Stuart crab rolls in this area, and then I have the raw fish on top of that. So if you just all want to try some, I guess. I have plates over here.
Stu, shall we take questions?
Okay.
Anybody have questions for Stu?
Should they ever make sushi without a seaweed?
No, you can't. Well, actually, they probably can't. Oh, yeah, they do. They have they have this like weird block. I couldn't find it at the store, but you just put a layer of rice down, and then you put raw fish on top of it, and then it's kind of this cube, and it squishes this just the rice into this weird cube, and you just cut it, and that doesn't require any seaweed.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Stu.
Stu, you want to pass out the sushi, or do you need some help?
Where are my plates? Oh, there they are. And then I have a bunch of leftover tempura crab if you want to try. It's not so crunchy now because it's been sitting there, but I guess if you all just want to come up and grab a plate, try something funny. It's all fresh and good.